In this series, we would be dealing with a statistical technique called the bootstrap. Now, why do we need the bootstrap? Classical statistics is based on some standardized assumptions, assumptions of normality, assumptions of linear restriction, assumptions of asymptotics, assumptions of large sample, and these were well meant assumptions in the sense that these assumptions reduced the burden of complexity and these assumptions made the likelihood more tractable to analyze. However, there are situations where these assumptions do not hold, typically for a problem which has a small number of sample sizes. There, the assumption of asymptotic normality cannot be imposed. So, here alternative methods needs to be developed. Now, bootstrap is a very computer intensive or a computationally intensive method which is essentially very simple in its philosophy, but there is a lot of repetitions that needs to be done on the same data set. To put things into perspective, the population to the sample is the sample to the bootstrap sample. So, that is the philosophy of bootstrap. In this session, we would start with a motivating example as to why we should be using bootstrap. And later on, we would be going and building on the fundamental details and the theories related to bootstrap and jackknife. So, let us now consider a very simple and practical small sample problem and see how bootstrap can help us. Initially, there might be concepts which are not previously told, but as we proceed, we would be explaining each of the concepts. So, the objective here is to present a case where bootstrap can be used. The idea is to present a motivating example for bootstrap. There are many complex statistical procedures for which statistical inference or theoretical results related to statistical inference are not available, and there can be situations where standard models are not applicable. For example, there can be inadequate sample size and a standard model based inference process cannot be applied, or standard approximations for parametric models are not valid. Now, in situations like this, bootstrap comes in as a very handy principle. So, what it is? Consider the observed data y1, y2, yn and treat them as realizations of a random sample. Capital Y1 to capital realizations of a random sample, capital Y1 to capital Yn from an unknown underlying distribution f. Let the parameter of interest be theta such that t of f is theta. As an example, we can take the average or the mean, which is integral over y d f y. So, here theta hat is equal to small t equal to t of f hat. So, the estimate theta hat is t of f hat, where f hat itself is an estimate of f or the density function based on the data y1 to yn. Now, if f is unknown, an estimate of f can be the empirical distribution function f hat. So, we would come and explain what is empirical density function later, but assume that there is a empirical distribution function f hat which is an estimate. Now, there can be a few questions. Example, what are the bias and variance for t? What is a reliable confidence interval of theta? How can we test hypothesis related to theta? Now, to construct a confidence interval, we can assume that there are two quantities. One is the bias f of, so that is b of f, and that is expectation of t given f minus theta, which is equal to expectation of t given f minus tf, and that is the true bias of the estimated t. Similarly, Vf is variance of t given f, and for large samples we can say that t minus theta plus Bf divided by root over of the variance follows normal 0 1, that is the standardized normal distribution. And so 1 minus 2 alpha confidence interval is t minus Bf plus minus z 1 minus alpha Vf square root of Vf, where z alpha is the alpha quantile of the standard normal distribution. Now, all this is fine when f is known, but when f is known we cannot form the confidence interval. Now, herein comes the bootstrap or the plug-in principle. So, what does the bootstrap or the plug-in principle say? It says that replace the unknown f with its known estimate f hat. This gives the estimate of bias as b of f hat and variance v of f hat, and unfortunately this cannot be obtained analytically and we need simulations. So, how do we do the simulation? Generate r independent bootstrap samples by sampling independently from f hat. Compute the corresponding estimators, say T1 star, T2 star, Tr star, where Ti star is the estimate computed from the ith bootstrap sample. So, then an estimate of the estimated bias is b of f, and that is a hat. So, that means b of f hat, which is expectation of t given f hat minus t of f hat. So, it is the true bias, but there the f is being replaced by f hat, which comes out to be 1 by r equal to 1 to smaller Tr star minus t, which is nothing but the mean of all the bootstrap estimates minus t. Similarly, variance of f hat can be estimated as 1 by r minus 1 summation r equal to 1 to what? Tr star minus t bar star square. Now, here we see that there are two types of errors mainly. One is the statistical error for replacing f by f hat, and the other error is that we are replacing the expectation and variance by the averages. So, to reduce the second error, what we can do is we can choose r large enough so that the second error is minimized in context to the first. Then use b of f hat and v of f hat in such a way that the first error is reduced. Still there is a problem. The problem is that normal approximation of the distribution of t minus theta is not valid here. So, the idea is that t star minus t and t minus theta have roughly the same distribution, and then one can use the quantiles of the distribution of t minus theta by simulating from the distribution of t star minus t, and then one can use the quantiles to construct the confidence interval of the form t minus t star r plus 1 1 minus alpha minus t, t minus t star r plus 1 alpha minus t, where t1 star bracket. So, these are the order statistics of within the parenthesis, this 1 to r, these are the order statistics. So, that means these are the these are the sorted values of t1 star to tr star, and this is called the basic bootstrap confidence limit. Now, since this is a motivational series, I mean this is a motivational example, I am restricting to the basic bootstrap confidence limits, but there are other confidence intervals like studentized bootstrap and percentile and bias corrected adjusted bootstrap intervals, which we would come later when we are doing explicitly confidence interval construction using bootstrap. So, let us consider a study And this example has been taken from Statistical Computing and Statistics Graphics newsletter, volume 13, number 1, an introduction to Bootstrap with applications in R. So that's a very useful paper. So here it's a part, we would be using a part of the data where the focus is on visual acuity for 20 patients from an experiment where two laser treatments, they are namely called as blue and red, were randomized to eyes of the patients. The data results in paired data of 20 individuals. So what do we do in R? We first say that blue is a vector of 20 individuals and red is a vector of 20 individuals with their visual acuity scores. We are interested in the difference, say dj, which is equal to bj minus rj, where bj stands for the jth observation of the blue vector and rj stands for the jth observation of the red vector. Now, when we are considering the paired data, we can construct the classical student t.95 confidence interval for the mean of the differences, and that's of the form d bar plus minus t n minus 1.025 sd by root over of nd. And as we can see, d bar equal to 3.25, sd is the standard deviation of these, and t n minus 1.025 is the quantile of the appropriate t distribution. So that means n minus 1 is 19, so that is a t19 distribution. So I can do it in R by obtaining the difference, which is blue minus red, and then n is equal to the number of observations. So I can get the qt value, which is like qt 0.025 n minus 1 into sd of difference by square root of n. So this is the part that we would be adding to the mean, and so we have c mean difference plus tmp and mean difference minus tmp, and we get the value to be minus 9.27 and 15.77. But note that here the confidence interval is constructed based on 19 observations. So what do? We create a small function which takes a data, and the data has two columns, the red column and the blue column. And what does the function do? The function computes the mean difference and the standard error for our data which has these two columns. And then what do? There is a boot library in R. So if I say library boot, the boot package gets loaded, and then we say boot, the name of the data and the name of the function that needs to be run on the data. So this data we have created by creating a data frame of blue and red, and we say that we would be doing this for 999 times. That means what we are doing is we are repeatedly taking a sample from the data of the same length with replacement and computing the function. And then if I say boot.ci type equal to basic, it gives me the basic standard or confidence interval, and this comes out to be minus 8.1 and 15.05. Now you see that here the confidence interval has resulted in a much tighter bound as compared to the confidence interval which was minus 9.27 and 15.77. So that was much wider. So this is how a bootstrap can help us in situations which does not conform with the idealized assumptions. Bootstrap helps us to give an estimate of the parameters in consideration. But it should be remembered that when standard assumptions are satisfied, computer intensive models are not more precise than the classical models. So had there been more than say 50 or 100 observations, then the classical student t based confidence interval would have been better than the bootstrapped. So in this session we had an application of Bootstrap. We used an example where Bootstrap can be used and gave some theoretical groundings on the nature of the problem and why we need Bootstrap, and we have shown that in a small sample situation the Bootstrap has performed better than the classical estimate. Now, this was an exercise done to motivate the use of Bootstrap, to emphasize the importance of Bootstrap in context to a non-statistical or in context to a statistical problem where the idealized assumptions are not met. In the following sessions, we shall be going into more theoretical details of Bootstrap. We would start with what is called the jackknife estimator, and then we would go on and build on the Bootstrap and see various applications of Bootstrap as well as their implementations in R. In the next session, I would be talking about the jackknife technique as a way or as the first stepping stone towards the idea of resampling and Bootstrap.